Zach Maniadis is the ERA Chair in Science and Innovation at the University of Cyprus, where he's on leave from the University of Southampton. His main interest lies in the economics of science and the cross-fertilization between social sciences and disciplines interested in meta-research. He's published in journals such as American Economic Review, Research Policy, PLOS, Biology, and Behavioral and Brain Sciences. Thank you so much for joining us, Zach.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine. I'm really happy of having this opportunity, and I'm particularly happy by the fact that I will be addressing an interdisciplinary audience, and I believe I have some interesting thoughts to share, and some research results, of course, but also some insights about a research agenda and potential collaboration paths for different disciplines. So the title of this talk will be Social Science Methods in Meta-Research. It will be a talk addressed to an interdisciplinary audience. It will be rigorous but not very technical, and it will give insight on a sort of different approach in social sciences and in the sciences in general, focused on a newly developed discipline within science called meta-research, and the role that social science can play within this domain. And I would like to start by emphasizing a little bit of the parallels between Spark and the objective of interacting with such an interdisciplinary audience, and with particular focus on social sciences. What we have here as a part of my mission in Cyprus is to develop a new research group that focuses on the study of science and innovation, but draws from several disciplines, and has the special feature of connecting also in issues related to evidence-based policy, and bringing different researchers interested in the study of science. As I will make clear in a moment, this burgeoning discipline called meta-research is very closely related to the topic of policy, evidence-based policy, because it will be the discipline that will play a key role in assessing what kind of interventions are promising and worthwhile to be turned into policy. So this link between an interdisciplinary approach, an interdisciplinary domain, playing the role with the inputs by different disciplines in helping assess the quality of research, if you wish, both in terms of internal validity and external validity, to be implemented and scaled up as an intervention. This theme will be pervasive in this discussion. So what will be our objectives for today would be to introduce you all to what meta-research is, this new domain, why it matters for social and psychological sciences, and the important thing that connects to our own work is to explain how there is a lot of scope for contribution to the particular domain, to the particular subdiscipline by social sciences themselves. And in particular, I'm going to focus on on how economics can contribute to meta-research. So I will provide this as an example of interdisciplinary approach, and how each, if you wish, as an example of how each of us can think of how the tools that we have from our disciplines can be used to advance the objective of improving science. And then, after we discuss about the project of using social science tools to contribute to the objective of improving science through meta-research, we talk about the the missing link, if you wish, between evidence and policy. So meta research, I will speak about this later on, but roughly speaking, speaks about internal validity, assesses the degree to which different studies are reproducible or scientifically sound. However, this often, especially in social sciences, is the focus of this talk. This is not enough in order for them to be promising, to be scaled up, to be worth the cost of being scaled up as policies. In addition, there is a missing step of whether reproducible and sound interventions are scalable, of whether the degree to which the intervention will change from the small scale to the large scale of policy maintains the promise of achieving a certain social objective in terms of an desirable effect size of an intervention. Okay, so this has been a little bit, maybe not very technical, but a little bit abstract. So let me get a little bit to the point of introducing this research agenda, which I find I'm very enthusiastic about, and I find is very interdisciplinary and of interest for every researcher. So we go to the basics. So what is meta research? Let us ask the basic question of why we're doing what we're doing. Why are we doing science? Of course, the starting point is human curiosity, the tendency for humans to wish to discover what rules the world, to discover what is true about the world that we live. But of course, at some level, we would be interested to use this knowledge, as we, of course, modern society does, to use science to predict and control the world around us. Namely, we want science for policy advice. Okay, but of course, and this is something that I will be getting back into, getting this sort of practical value depends on the capacity of science to produce scalable interventions. And this is attracting increasing attention. So with the permission of John, I am just providing an example of a recent book that is attracting more attention about this question of what makes an intervention scalable, attracting increasing interest in science and the general public. So let me do this actual experiment and see how things will evolve if I try to. Okay, so can you still follow the screen? So so I want to juxtapose a little bit idealistic versus real science. So when we do science, we start by the idealistic part, invariably, or at least most of us, wanting to discover truths about the world and expand our range of knowledge. But this thing changes as we become more accustomed to the way that real science is conducted, about the limitations of science as a human institution. And of course, we realize that actual sciences are human beings. The science is a human institution, and as such, it is imposed to the it is subject to the limitations of such institutions. So I wanted to refer to this comic. We start very idealistic and very ambitious, wishing to our objective from going into science being to win the Nobel Prize. Then after a while, we fall our expectations into revolutionizing our field only. Well, maybe get a position at the top university, get a job, and by the end of the studies, expectations get adjusted and become closer to Earth, if you wish. So again, there's nothing really extremely novel about this thought, apart from the very simple realization that this divergence between idealistic and real science has real consequences, and we should be interested about those. Okay, for instance, and this has important consequences about the way that actual knowledge is generated and about the way that society benefits by investing its money on science. There are certain risks, in particular, about missing out on pursuing our own research as scientists, and instead might be pushed to study what is currently acceptable, fashionable, or in general, the norm. And of course, we all know, as at least experienced researchers know, that scientists also respond to incentives. In particular, they are looking for ways to advance their career, at least part of what they do, and are affected and related to the second point by the expectations of people around them, often advisors, group leaders, editors, or funders who have some sort of influence on them. Okay, so what these consequences between the idealistic and the practical way that science take place means for science, it can often be a little bit of an alarming message. In particular, in the 2010, I'm just giving a very brief overview of this, there were discussions about a credibility crisis in science, and this led to several initiatives that revolutionized the several domains about things took place with, if you wish, a credibility revolution, as it was discussed. And this concerned several disciplines, including psychology, economics, and other areas. We don't want to get into this too much, but maybe you recognize one of the earliest discussions in this literature, the famous paper, Why Most Published Research Findings Are False, that sparked quite some discussion about this difference between mundane science and idealistic science, and what view people have versus what takes place. So what is the whole point of the previous discussion? The following: we need to actually study real science to kind of examine the implications of science as a human institution. And that's why the role of social science is so important. This, of course, is now a new endeavor. I'll just mention one very classical study. Philosophers of science have been doing this for a long time. Work such as The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, which explains how science works as a human institution, of course, are huge contributions. What is different now? Why am I talking to you about a new development? Why should you be interested in that? The answer is that there is a new movement, recent one, interdisciplinary, and I believe extremely interesting, that studies the problem of how science operates quantitatively, using scientific tools rather than philosophical discourse. Okay, so now let me introduce what meta-research is. It is defined, it has several definitions, but it is principally defined as the study of research itself, its methods, reporting, reproducibility, evaluation, and incentives. Okay, so very simply put, meta-research is a promising new area of study that could be of interest for any researcher to engage in. There are initiatives that bring together different people interested in the way that science operates, and where the tools from each discipline have a role to play to understand how things work. In other words, going beyond the mere coffee discussion that most of us scientists have about how do things work in our discipline, how is the peer review going, this is not working in a right way, going beyond simple gossip and discussion into rigorously applying our tools to address the issues about how we might improve methods, about how we might measure the consequences of biased methods, how via research synthesis, for example, how we might improve these methods, how we might optimize on the reporting of how we conduct empirical research. This goes quite a bit in the spirit of the open science revolution, okay? And I believe that meta-research played an important role, meta-research evidence, gradually in the increasing importance of open science. For example, a key priority given by the European Union on open science. And issues such as reproducibility, being able to measure what kind of evidence is reproducible, how to improve reproducibility, correction methods, and so on and so forth. And the last two parts are especially important for what will follow, and they concern the role of social science. So I'm going to tell you my story, if you wish, a little bit as a researcher who got attracted to the to meta research. Evaluation and incentives. How do we improve science by reforming the way that it is conducted, changing scientific institutions in way that go closer to optimal solutions, if you wish. This is language that is very much familiar with economics. And of course, the word that is the most important in economics, in my humble view, incentives. So there, how do we reform incentives to put closer the incentives of individual researchers in terms of career advancement, principally, to the social benefit, to improve the way that research is conducted. So why do I want to, what do I want to emphasize at this point? The role that different tools from social science can play in the movement of meta-research. So we have a research center that focuses on the role of economists, and we will explain how we believe that economics can play an important role. And of course, we are now working on the implementation of this role of economics in meta-research. The idea was shared in this paper that we wrote with colleagues Thomas Gall and John Ioannidis, and it goes into understanding what meta-research entails for science, how it connects to social science concepts, and how tools from economics can be used to advance the objective of conducting meta-research and improving research. So when we're discussing about the problem of reforming scientific incentives, when we're discussing about the problem of changing institutions, criteria for promotion, bibliometric methods, and the way that we reward science, we are changing incentives in ways that fit quite a bit the mode of reasoning of economics. Okay, so these sort of possible changes in science will involve several dimensions that economics already are capable of capturing. For instance, it will involve the ability to understand what is going to happen by interaction of multiple agents who have diverse incentives and they interact with each other. Okay, so there are different areas and methods in economics. Of course, most of you are familiar with game theory, able to capture this aspect. Of course, many of the people outside economics, policymakers, and other researchers often identify economics as the capacity to consider trade-offs, costs, and benefits of different interventions. So obviously, that's a key aspect where a social science such as economics can contribute in meta-research. And of course, there is the area of applied welfare economics that in fact does conduct this type of this type of assessment by scientifically trying to measure different components of costs and benefits, second order effects by considering indirect effects of changes and taking everything into account, including aspects such as the cost of the foregone cost of an activity. For instance, oftentimes it can be tempting to consider new changes, such as let's increase transparency by having researchers report meticulously on the way that they have conducted the research. But of course, one has to take into account the foregone costs of the costs of the foregone productivity and what would have been produced and how beneficial for society that would have been of the time that was not utilized otherwise. And of course, economics also has tools, again, often pertaining to game theory with the subject of mechanism design, where we generate essentially theoretical institutions. We simulate institutions in economics. We assume different types of individuals, and we examine potential effects of changing incentives, changing institutions when we go as close to a realistic environment as possible, even for people with heterogeneous information, heterogeneous beliefs. So there are advances in this area as well. And in other words, I'm hinting to the following research agenda that we have contributed to, and we believe there is much more scope of people contributing to. When there are proposals, often by colleagues in disciplines outside economics, about a potential change. For instance, we should improve pre-registration. We should impose some transparency requirements. We should change the way that promotion criteria are made. Oftentimes, the consequences of these can only be assessed if we don't use such economic tools ex post. By then, however, these policies will be implemented. So economics can be used to simulate, given all the methodology that I am describing now, at the stage of design of a policy, to give us an idea of the possible consequences and steer us to the optimal policy. Okay, oftentimes this sort of steering of where we want to go is informed by pilot studies that can take the form of randomized control trials. In economics, there is also the approach of using theory combined with experiments to test, instead of just testing an intervention, test a more general theory about what is the mechanism behind the driver of some effect. So what this implies is that there are also tools in explaining, in informing experimental research. At that stage, I would kindly like to ask Alison how I'm going in terms of time, to make sure I...
It is 10:57 and ends at 11:20. So
about halfway through.
20 minutes. And it's nice if there's a little bit of time for questions.
Okay, so other aspects that, again, meta-research is raising and a social science such as economics can capture is public goods. What happens if the researchers have incentives to contribute to the reproducibility, to open science, and they are intrinsically motivated? How much can we count on treating these as public goods? Of course, there are lessons in a very established literature in economics, experimental results, and so on and so forth. The issue of economics of innovation, much of research takes place in academic institutions, but also in private companies. And economics of innovation teaches us about important things, for instance, about intellectual property. Oftentimes, there are important trade-offs between transparency, the new tendency in research, and trade secrecy, which is a principal problem in outside the academia. So then we need to, have really an informed position on these issues. Okay, so I might move a little bit faster at this stage. So these other aspects concern the general nature of incentives that we give. So I would like to move a little bit into passing from this topic with this quote by Esther Duflo, a Nobel Prize winner in randomized control trials in economics. What the economists bring to the table, in addition to evaluation expertise, is prior evidence and theories that help them predict what should work and how and what should not. The evaluation of the program then serves to test these theories. Randomized evaluations have become, in effect, field experiments, a new and powerful tool in the arsenal of the economist. So in other words, by working together in the disciplinary manner, we can discover more generalizable things about what works and what doesn't work in science. For instance, it might be the case that psychologists, colleagues, or biomedical colleagues, or from other disciplines, they have thought of a very nice intervention, okay, and they are thinking to test it in some pilot study that might later scale up into a policy to improve practices, research practices in science. By working together with other social sciences with different expertise, such as economists, it might be possible to actually form careful theories that might generate hypotheses that are a little bit more generalizable. So apart from just informing one particular intervention, they might inform further accumulation of knowledge regarding similar interventions in the future. Okay, so far I have introduced the exciting new discipline of meta research. I hope that some of the enthusiasm is shared by the McMaster colleagues, and presented a little bit how each social science could have a role to play in this new initiative, in this new discipline, by application of their own tools. I just spoke about my particular discipline, economics, in the topic of meta research. Now I will speak about something that we are currently doing, a fascinating new area that bridges the gap between what meta research does and the ultimate objective of science, a successful policy. So let's think about having an intervention, let's say a particular nudge intervention, okay, some policy that pushes people towards a particular behavioral direction. Okay, for example, how sending people reminders about enrolling in a particular program can increase savings in an economy, let's say. Okay, so there are small studies, they show some effects, usually driven by academic work, with all the problems, the reproducibility issues, the methodology issues that are addressed by meta research. Okay, now, even assuming that this particular intervention is robust, reproducible, and all, it's still not guaranteed that it's going to be useful for society. And this is the missing gap that we believe, in our views, is a natural part of meta science itself. And this is what we want to contribute towards. So this is referred to as the scale-up problem. Roughly speaking, what is this problem? So when we take a behavioral policy, this can take form of an educational policy, a small health behavioral intervention, some nudge push towards a given direction, some psychological intervention, and so on and so forth. When we move from the small-scale study to a full policy, many things can change. In particular, what is very common is that a more general population is targeted instead of the convenience groups that are achieved in academic studies. And of course, the initial small-scale academic studies were typically done by very capable, incentivized, specialized administrating people who are generally, likely to succeed in how they administer an intervention, for instance. Okay, in the scale-up case, this can both the organization and the coordination has to pass oftentimes from these incentivized, specialized, and coordinated researchers to people who have a large portfolio, who might not be as specialized or as educated, if you wish, and this might be a part of many things that they need to do administratively. Okay, and then of course, issues such as eligibility conditions or participation rates might change. Oftentimes, political reality and what is feasible in the political realm can be very different from the conditions that hold in academic studies. And as a conclusion, this is a new area that is very active in the field, as we naturally consider it within the field of meta-research, and it concerns the question of scale-up effect. Again, social science research has a lot to teach us about how this effect might operate. Okay, and I will give you an example of our own research where we have some rigorous tools and assessment of the problem of scaling up an intervention. So this is a recent book, again, on the problem of scaling up that we have contributed in, and it applies to the very important problem of early childhood interventions. So this was based on an initiative by the University of Chicago. Chicago is a city that focuses a lot on early childhood interventions for reasons of promoting equality, reducing poverty, and so on and so forth. We know that education can be a key tool, and we know that there is a special role for early childhood. So there's quite a bit of at stake if we are able to learn from the academic literature and successfully scale up policies in early childhood. So our contribution in that literature with John Ioannidis and Fabio Tufano applies meta research tools, applies economic reasoning in trying to assess some concrete case studies of interventions in early childhood literature, namely programs such as My Hope, Head Start Cares, Family Connects, and what we might conclude about the initial characteristics of the small-scale studies that informed the large interventions that made them, if you wish, roughly speaking, I want to be careful, but succeed or fail in terms of scaling up. So can we rigorously think about factors from initial studies, academic studies, that make them prone in the direction of being promising to be scaled up or not? This is a very important problem, in my opinion, theoretically, because it provides key rigorous tools to policymakers who have a large set of possible interventions, a limited budget, and they need to think about how to allocate the budget. So using meta-research to rigorously assess what is reproducible and what is scalable is key. So what we find in this particular study, and then we will get a little bit into the theory behind it, the rigorous science behind it, is that oftentimes scaled up implementations lose out quite a bit in effect size. Unfortunately, that's a general finding in most behavioral interventions, but oftentimes we can see heterogeneity and we can account for this depending on the particular study of the scientific conditions of the initial literature. Oftentimes, it can be the case that initial findings are not fully reproducible. So there might be issues with the initial scientific literature in terms of publication bias or other methodological problems. It might be that effects might depend on specific population and context. So now it's a scale-up problem, the issue of being applied in a wider context and more general population. Alternatively, it might often be the case that it's a more blurred picture of what really can be scaled up. Oftentimes, there are interventions with different components that seem related, but then some of them seem to be working and being able to scale up, and some don't. So there, it is really a challenge to really understand the difference between cases where really some of them work and some don't, and some cases where you just naturally get some working out of statistical chance. You know, this issue of multiple testing, if you wish. But so now let me get a little bit into one of the basic tools of how meta research combined with economic reasoning can help us assess literatures that are more promising to be scalable and reproducible, and others that don't. So, you know, John Ioannidis, ourselves with John List and Fabio Tufano start from the very basic Bayesian formula in order to assess our state of knowledge into a domain of research. So very simply speaking, so we start with a hypothesis about an association in nature. Okay, is it true that if I follow this policy, this outcome will follow? So this is a research hypothesis. So we start with a hypothesis and we conduct an empirical study, an experiment. What is after an experiment? What is our posteriors regarding the truthfulness of the initial association we hypothesized? This can be measured by a posterior or a post-study probability, as we are explaining here. Okay, we don't want to get too much into the technical details. So this simple equation, okay, along with slight modifications, depending on the different environment, can get us substantially advanced into being able to speak about reproducibility and scalability in a literature. How is that? Let's see. So this slide is one of the most important and in some sense summarizes work of our group throughout the years. So essentially, the post-study probability summarizes the state of affairs of where the literature stands regarding a research hypothesis. If it is high, that means that after having an initial hypothesis with some priors and having observed some literature, some experiments, if you wish, with certain characteristics, we combine all this knowledge into a single posterior, okay, about now what do we believe about the initial hypothesis, the initial association that we are interested in. Does it exist or not? As long as the posterior is high enough, then we think that we have a workable hypothesis that we can use in policy. We have a workable association that we believe we have enough faith in order to proceed. So post-studies probability in a literature tends to be high as long as the experimental designs and the empirical designs in general are rigorous. They have high power. They are based on large sample sizes. They conduct the appropriate power analysis. They start from, and the association starts from high priors, even prior to any experiment. How does this, priors are difficult to define. Well, how rigorous was the hypothesis in the first place? Was it based on rigorous theory? Was it consistent with what we knew about the functioning of nature in the first place? Or was it some exploratory hypothesis that we examine to see whether it works in if you wish, in many different sessions, and might not have been as rigorous as a hypothesis. In this literature, are there replications? In particular, the degree to which exact replications take place can be also important, because what is, especially in the psychology literature, there's the difference between exact and conceptual replications, and oftentimes this can be a little bit of a difficult notion to work with. And of course, given how things have proceeded in science, how much do we observe practices such as pre-registration in a given literature? Okay. On the other hand, negative factors that contribute to a low post-study probability regarding a particular association are whether the domain, the particular scientific literature, is very novel, relatively fresh. It is not particularly standardized, and there is a lot of methodological flexibility. Whether it is very competitive, and publication bias plays an important role. Whether there is a norm in a particular literature for replications to take place in a manner that we get consistent results with initial researchers. So there is a culture of not contradicting. So that can be negative for the accumulation of knowledge. And of course, when there are conflicts of interest that are uncontrolled of in a given literature. Apologies, Alison, where do we stand?
5 minutes.
Very good. So we're close to wrapping up with our very last thing that we are working on, current research, which we believe is very promising, because there is still the missing link I was talking about scalability. The things I talked about with a post-study probability, one can argue that they capture quite a bit the aspect of reproducibility, the literature being sound to really establish, if you wish, causality in a particular domain. But then this didn't seem to capture that much the problem of, okay, the small scale studies work. What happens if we scale them up? And that's where, again, I like to encourage cross-fertilization and being, if you wish, inspired by the approach used in other disciplines such as biomedical sciences. So we know that there's existing work in biomedical sciences of trying to get a rigorous assessment of whether the small scale studies, the academic studies that inform our preliminary perception of whether something works, how close it is to the final environment where an actual policy takes place. Can we measure it somehow? There are scales, and one example is illustrated in this slide of the pragmatic explanatory continuum indication summary, or PRECI tool in biomedicine. So this is attracting increasing attention in biomedicine, and we are working now also with some of the developers of the tool to start using it, validating it, start using it for social science research. So eventually, roughly speaking, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get a scientific study, in particular an experimental study, break it into different domains of its design, okay, and assess. Initially, it's going to be a subjective assessment of experts. So it's going to be, to some degree, a community development. How does the literature, the small scale studies of the literature, differ from, in this particular domain? For instance, eligibility. Who was selected to participate in the trial? So all interventions have some eligibility criteria, some small scale studies that test interventions. Okay, how close to the eligibility is that to the way that the study will be finally, the intervention will be finally administered as a policy? Obviously, there might be serious differences between who might be politically expedient or feasible to be applied, or intervention to be applied to, and who participated in particular trials. This is just one illustration. So I don't have that much time, but I want to emphasize that this is just one of many examples that show the importance of cross-fertilization in the direction of meta-research, especially driven traditionally by biomedicine, towards social sciences. Before, I provided an example, if you wish, of how tools from social science or economics, how they can inform meta-research or help us address meta-research problems, oftentimes principally driven by the interest of biomedical researchers. My last slide is coming. I think I'm gonna skip this one that shows a particular application of this development of the new tool, what we're planning to do, and conclude with a slide of some work where we have just been arguing about cross-fertilization. So the way that I would consider it for any social scientist is that there are two directions of cross-fertilization from our own domain, which have our methodology that is specialized and addresses a particular phenomenon, and science is a social phenomenon. So our tools can speak about how we study science to the movement of meta-science, and of course, learning about the approaches in other disciplines, how they deal with the problem of assessing evidence, improving research, and maybe applying it in an empirical way, potentially in our domain, to see how things work. For instance, meta-analysis had been much more mature in areas such as psychology and biomedicine than in economics, but in the last few years, maybe also, I want to believe to some degree, partly inspired by our research agenda, it's starting becoming increasingly applied in economics, for instance. So, concluding, I hope I haven't bored you. I wanted to give the message that it is important to study science itself using scientific tools, and this is a highly interdisciplinary endeavor. And it has informed a whole new discipline that is supported in its specific research centers. Oftentimes, because interdisciplinary endeavors are a little bit difficult for incentives that we have hinted to before, they tend to be supported by large grant schemes, particular for interdisciplinarity. So maybe that's another challenge, how to change incentives to encourage in a sustainable way interdisciplinary research. And I showcase how social science tools have a critical role to play in the meta-research movement. And ultimately, meta-research can play an important role. It cannot do this yet, but we believe with a new research agenda, ultimately, it might be able to play the role of assessing both the reproducibility, if you wish, the internal validity aspect, and the scalability or the external validity aspect of potential policy interventions, and therefore have the whole scale of, if you wish, rigorous argument to convince policymakers that our interventions, mostly behavioral social science interventions, are promising to be applied at scale in society. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach. If you need to go, feel free to. Otherwise, we'll take a bit of time for questions.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
When you showed us how to, that equation several slides ago about how to update your posterior belief about the likelihood of the hypothesis. I always find in these kinds of, whether it's power analysis or this type of calculation, the problem is in determining the initial probability, the prior probability. Where does it come from?
Oh,
I find in most of the contexts I look at, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, very good, very good. That's the $1 million question in Bayesian research. But now I can provide a much more rigorous and complete answer that I could a few years ago, because the promise of Bayesian research has attracted attention. So in economics, for instance, and in other social science disciplines, the answer to the question has been given by initiatives to crowdsource the elicitation of prior research so by community, if you wish, summation of community priors, and oftentimes incentivized by markets, prediction markets. So this is a little bit the part where the economics come. So where we want to elicit expectations, we tend to try to find complicated and oftentimes sophisticated, I would say, ways to make sure that this is really what people's beliefs are. So, I can point to initiatives, large-scale initiatives from the early work of Kammerer and colleagues in social sciences. And this approach has been followed later on by large-scale replication initiatives in psychology and other areas. So this is a very difficult and very important question, but it is gradually being addressed by this. And oftentimes it has been shown that this approach works pretty well.
So can I ask a follow-up question, or if someone else wants to go ahead, please?
Go ahead.
Did we have? Yeah. Let Alison run it. So
Go ahead, Bradley.
Okay, yeah. So no, in terms of that makes sense. Yeah, and I've seen these attempts to crowdsource the prior. I wonder, how do you determine your target audience? So I've seen, for instance, you're probably familiar with the ESA discussion list. So I see there people will post an email asking anyone who wants to can complete their survey, where their survey involves estimating the likelihood of such and such an event. There's little control there over who responds to such a survey, and I wonder, is that acceptable? And how do you? Yeah.
So the issue of selection there.
Yeah.
Well, as usual, this can be addressed, using observables to the degree to which these are accumulated to get an idea about, how representative the responders are. This gets a little bit into detail, and I will apologize a little bit because I'm not sure I remember very well the specifics of whether there have been issues in the in the selection there, but not that I am familiar with. I would imagine, I think we are all pretty intrinsically motivated to test ourselves about what works and what doesn't work based on our expertise. So this would not be a domain that I would be particularly concerned that it would really suffer heavily from selection. But the point is well taken. It's not a perfect approach, and it's not an easy problem.
Okay, thanks.
Speaking of not easy problems, I have one as well, which is that one of the things that I found very interesting is that depending on who originates it in the fields that it comes out of, a lot of behavioral interventions that come out of economics tend to be more like nudges. They tend to be very discrete, specific interventions, and then most that come out of psychology and social work tend to be the exact opposite. They're very holistic and robust, and when they are scaled, the implementation manuals are 300, 400 pages long. And so having been in this sort of space of scaling up of social interventions for a long time, it's interesting because I see all of the challenges on the research side, but then I've also really witnessed what you were talking about in terms of the challenges of people actually being able to effectively implement the program itself. And so I'm wondering how much conversation there's been about the trade-offs between these micro nudges and the more holistic approaches.
That's a very nice point, and this goes a little bit into the challenges that we have in developing the tool that I was describing before about the exploratory versus pragmatic continuum. And though this tool that I briefly presented to you before has two dimensions: flexibility in adherence and flexibility in how a particular intervention is conducted. In other words, this is a point well taken. Oftentimes in nudge and in economics, we tend to apply simple interventions using simple messages, online tools, very concrete, very simple, very exact ways of doing things that would not have such a big challenge in terms of training a large set of people on how exactly to conduct an intervention. Versus in psychology and other disciplines that I will explain now, this is much more of a challenge. So these two components of the tool actually try to assess as much as possible this aspect. Oftentimes, of course, in medicine, some interventions are very complex. Let's think of a particular way that a surgery is conducted, for instance. So then these tools try to capture the degree to which how much the scientists adhered to the design way that the intervention was supposed to take place in the small scale studies versus how much flexibility, and I'm a bit skeptical how much flexibility is allowed in the application of an intervention and the adherence to the initial plan when it is scaled up by more impersonal professionals in public sector. So this is a very nice point, well taken, and maybe my answer might be that that might be a reason why we want to focus a little bit on nudge first, because it's the lower hanging fruit. More well-defined interventions that might have a little bit of less of a challenge. So then we might examine, other aspects of scalability without, facing the more difficult problems first. However, from the experience of the tool applied in medicine, this has been attacked. These more difficult problems have been attacked. So with our group, we will try. This is work in progress. So actually, tackle the difficult problem of flexibility in how the interventions are applied. I think we have more questions.
That's absolutely fascinating. I'm not seeing any in chat. Do you want to have anything? Otherwise, I know we are well over time. I feel like we could easily talk for a couple of days. Thank you so much for joining us. And,
thank you so much.
thanks for everyone for coming.